go live. Baby, let's go live. Baby, live. Baby, let's go live. How's it doing, folks? How's it going, folks? How are we doing? We doing good? We hanging in there? Well, I hope you are. Hanging in there is better than hanging out there, you know? That's what some people say. How are we doing? Well, let some people filter on in through this non-filtered tank. I should say it has very light filtration. We do have a one layer of filtration, which is a number of old-timer friends on the stream that will boot you if you spam. All right. Well, I don't know what to do with myself today other than, it's open chat. We can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. But, fish are the thing we talk about on this channel. If you guys want to talk about my recent video that just dropped today, we can do that. But also, holy McJolly McMolly, I didn't realize there were so many rice fish. I thought there were 12, 13 species. Nope, 44. That definitely blew my little mind organ. So that was something that I thought, let's look at them. Let's look at the 44 rice fish. The 44 rice fish. And see what we got. But let's don't be a jerk or you'll get the ban hammer. That's right. I don't think we have too many people that have gotten that other than hate speech that usually YouTube will censor, or someone just spamming to the point where it's just no one can talk and stuff. But I hope we're all doing well. We don't have to deal with any of that, guys. I finally got and I know nobody wants to hear the health updates, so I was going to say I finally got a cast, though, on my foot. It's not fitting right. There's some issues. I got to go back in. But I got a cast on one leg and a, tightly wrapped foot orthotic thing on my other foot. So basically now I don't have either foot and I can't drive. So the plan was to drop off isopods at the post office. But now that plan will be delayed, and don't worry, I haven't collected money per se. Somebody sent me money and I refunded at least one person. I think maybe one other person did, but they were like, hey, this is whenever, don't worry. So I still have all those emails of everybody who's messaged me, and don't worry, you guys will be getting isopods as soon as that happens. It's just my life is a bit chaotic right now. And I got that episode out, got that edited, and I know it's a bit long. It's a half-hour episode, but I wanted to touch on the concept that I was literally flabberschmagazed. That's what we're going to call it. I was flabberschmagazed at the fact that you can go. I look in my aquarium while I'm making this episode, and I think, boy, these fork-tailed loaches, they're really cool. I want everyone to have them. Then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? They're really rare, I bet, because they're from Borneo, and that's like an island. And then I look, and, they're from the ancient peat bogs of Borneo, which there's 5 sections of left. Oh, they're only from 2 of that one's gone. So they're from one place. So I was like, man, I can't make an episode about these in good conscience when they're for sale on the Wet Spot and other places. I mean, they're legally being sold and, whatever. But I'm thinking, man, I can't tell people to go out and get them if we don't even know if they breed in captivity. I assume they do, being that they live in blackwater bog habitats, unless they go out into the open river and do something crazy, which, fish have been known to do weirder things. So that sparked off that whole episode of what's out there if you want to be part of the solution and you want to buy wild caught fish, but you want them to either be sustainable. So there's Project Piaba that can tell you that. There's Beta Castle Dawn that can tell you that. There's the IUCN Red List that can tell you that. Then you go over to the thought of, okay, so you do find that it's extinct in the wild or endangered in the wild or vulnerable or whatever and you have a problem with that. So now that you have established that, do you want to buy the fish that's at some, local pet store that you feel you're probably the best person in your town that could buy them because you want to take a shot at breeding them rather than maybe just throwing them in a community tank and seeing what happens? So what do you do then? What's been successful? Is it the private model of, Arowana breeding where it's $1,000 per endangered fish just for the license, and then you can get a ticket or a license approval to buy the fish, and then that money goes towards conservation in theory, or hopefully of the species at large? Is that a good model? Is another good model like the Goodyear Working Group, where there's no pay-to-play admission or anything like that? It's just a network of universities and people that have these fish and updates on these fish and programs that are keeping track of these fish. To me, that seems like the best route to go. And live bears, cichlids, fish that we know we can spawn easily in captivity, that's the stuff that, for me is, okay, I still may keep those fish. But fish like those fork-tailed loaches that I have, and to be honest, they're cool fish. I like how they look. They're really neat looking. I haven't seen them. I bought them 2 years ago, the first two. They were $28 a piece. It was a total impulse buy of I don't know why I'm spending this much on this little 1.5-inch long fish at the time that has a little fork tail. Other than that, it looks like the most boring coolie loach around. But I did, and now they're 5 inches long or 4 inches long, and they're a good sized little, a little bit longer than a coolie loach kind of thing, and they're pretty cool with their scales and stuff, and their gold stripe, bronze stripe over their purpley gray body. And I realized that I never see them. I only see them when I move things in my tank, like sift through the sand. They don't even come out and eat at night when I have a flashlight. I haven't even seen them. I thought they were gone. I didn't know I still had them. So when I found two, I was like, oh, wow, well, maybe they need more. So I went to the store and I bought another one. And then it dawned on me, hey, Alex, Dum Dum, you just bought 3 of these things now. And you don't even know, there's no info on breeding them. There's no info on anything other than where they're collected. So then I reached out to a bunch of people who collect fish and offer to send them to Americans in Borneo, just on Facebook and Telegram. And Telegram is more like black market for anything, the app. But yeah, Telegram and or Signal or Substack. There's these dark corners of the internet. The other one that has become a dark corner, surprisingly, is Tumblr. You wouldn't expect it really, but yeah, there you have it. You need an Arowana or something like an endangered bald eagle feather. Well, they'll have a picture of it, and then someone will hook you up. Yeah, I don't think I'm skilled enough to breed a lot of the things. Like that fish in particular, I could give it a go, but then I read that they actually find them typically in groups of 15 to 20 fish, all kind of bundled up together in leaves. And I just felt man, I'm a jerk for putting it in a sandy, bright, sunny tank when they're from the dark, and yeah, it's acidic tank. It's, it's a 6.0 pH, and it's got leaf debris in it and algae in it and yada yada. But it just really struck me when I was making that video and made me think about it just a little bit. What are I don't know, just what are the limitations that we're comfortable with in our hobby and in our own life within the hobby, because nobody's really going to limit you. I was flabbergazed yet again when I looked and I went and I got my Mandarin goby, which is not the saltwater kind, but the Mandarin goby that's called the crimson Mandarin goby, or Rhinogobius crimson, or sometimes they call it the vermilion Chinese goby. Anyways, This one, it now debatably there's 2 species, but debatably one of the species, or maybe color morphs, maybe subspecies, is the Rhinogobius zhao. It's the Chinese name, ZHOU, Zhao, or Zhao, but with an I at the end. So Zhaowai, Zhaowai. But totally on the critically endangered list. And the other one's on the endangered list, yet they're in order guides all over the world. And I don't know if they're being bred in captivity, but if, like, something in my brain organ, yet again, tells me, no, these are wild caught. I never see them as babies. I never see, I just see these gobies as adults, and particularly a lot of males. But yeah, I do. Yeah, Johnny, I appreciate that. You're gonna do some rice. I'm reading another message while I'm reading yours. I said, yeah, I said the same thing, that I'm gonna do some research, and I usually do research on, like, can I care for this fish, or I talk to the person who brought it in, whether that's a store owner or whatever. But now I'm like, wait, I thought in the U.S. we weren't supposed to be able to have endangered animals. Like, we can't have, wild caught arowana. We can't even have any arowana. Yet I can buy these gobies by, like, the boatload, and basically, as they get rarer and as more people see them and think they're cool, the price is going up. That's what happened with arowana too. And luckily with arowana, even though they're a massive fish, people saw the value in breeding them together in captivity and bringing out, like, red and orange and gold and all these, like, metallic hues and big fins and stuff like that, even hybridizing them. But that then stopped the competition between the wild caught arowana and the farm raised arowana. They were no longer really going for the same thing, just like a goldfish isn't the same as going for a carp, or and so I thought that was a really kind of clever and interesting way that things unfolded. I don't know if that was intentional ever, but now I feel like I want to do more research on the fish that I'm buying, because I didn't realize how easy it was for Americans, for anybody, to just buy endangered or even critically endangered species. I knew you could buy some extinct in the wild species, and that made sense in my head because they're not in the wild they're not being caught from the wild, so there's not a chance that they're being poached. They're being bred in institutions, Goodeids and things like that, or Lake Malawi or Tanganyikan fish that were described in the 60s, but nobody's seen the species type since, other than what's been kept in the hobby, stuff like that. But thank you, Johnny, my good buddy, for the gifted memberships. I saw you did one here. I saw you did another one too. You done gone and done did it. But thank you, buddy. I appreciate you sharing the love for the channel, getting people involved. I'll have to do an episode of Fishery sooner or later, just to add some more little secret episodes. Maybe we'll even do a secret live stream one of these nights. We'll do a late night pop up just for y'all members, since so many of y'all are members right here, right now, right here, right now. Why the Asian arowana can develop such beautiful colors while the South American one does not have bright colors. Mitch, that's a good question. Most of it is how many are being bred. So the like the Giardini, the Asian arowana versus the other, like, African or South American arowana, they do come in, like, platinum and albino, as well as longfin. I've seen all those. I've seen melanistic black, but I haven't seen the red and things like that. Now, South The South Asian ones, for one, there are multiple species that are interbreedable for hybridizing. So you can cross, I believe it's like the black Arowana with another Arowana down there with the Asian Arowana. And that gives you a whole new palette of genetics. But beyond all that, they actually have red on them in the wild. Like they have a spawning color of a red, and when you have red in a color palette, you automatically by default usually get yellow and orange as possible colors as well. And those fish all have iridophores, which means you can theoretically have blue and or purplish tones in those fish, which you can see in South American ones, but they're just going to be called like metallic or wild style or whatever. And it's really just about, them being in really good shape and the light hitting them just right and stuff like that. Whereas people paying 10 grand for a fish are going to make sure that there's a good spotlight on it and that they're eating, healthy food and, all that kind of stuff. Mike says, what about autocinkless catfish? They're not caught using the best methods all the time. And they usually come in starved. I feel like I rescue them when I get them from pet stores. Yeah, well, they definitely come in rough a lot of times, but a lot of times they're being bred in captivity in Indonesia, and they are in rough shape, but it's off a farm. Almost everything you get at like a Petco, PetSmart, any big place like that is definitely going to be farm raised for the most part. Anything that you're getting from an independent pet store or transshipper online sellers, there's, it's kind of maybe a 60 or 70% chance it's going to be tank raised with most of the species. But if it's an unknown species slash a CW number one, then there's pretty good chance that they're going to tell you, like just like Dan's Fish does, whether it's tank raised or wild caught. If it's wild caught, yes, they tend to be caught when they're spawning, and when they spawn once, they lose a lot of weight and protein, and they'll spawn again at the end of the season if they're in good shape. And you get a very anemic looking fish that has already spawned, but they go into the shallow sands, most species, and they spawn at night in big rivers like the Amazon or the Rio Negro or, wherever, like big rivers. They'll come to the sandbars at night and they will spawn and come into like an inch to 6 inches of water and lay their eggs right there on either slick stones or in the sand a lot of times. There's other species that lay on wood and stuff like that, but that is how a lot of cories lay, and they're caught then by net in that shallow water at night while they're coming in to spawn that time of year. And it happens to be right after they've kind of drained their all their nutrients and resources and stuff, if they're of breeding age, has already gone towards that. If they're not, they're probably just coming around to being old enough to breed. And in that case, they just may not be big, hardy, dominant type fish yet. They're still kind of small fry if they get caught at that point. That's my main thought on that from from those I've spoken to who collect them or who've gone out collecting them and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a really good question. So let's just see how things are going. I feel like we need to summon the power of the voodoo lords and ladies. We've got 39 people here at almost 6:00 p.m. on the West Coast, almost 9 on the East Coast. Where is everybody? Y'all need to tell your friends that there's a party going down over here, and that Yeti and Roy Baker and Radina and Fishy Saria are all hanging out here. I want to do a little ditty, a new grass, that's like bluegrass but new song that I like. You might know it. I just like this song. The guy who sings it is like 19, and if you hear his voice, well, he's not anymore now. He's like 25, but he was when he wrote the song, and he sounds 45. He sounds like Merle Haggard or something. But anyways, let's give it a go. let's bring in some music, just because I'm not allowed to play copyrighted music. Maybe I can do such a good job that they will actually strike me. So, oh, and also one thing before I start gouging your ears out and they start bleeding. Today through tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That will be the time at which all of humanity, not all, 91% of the population of the human species will have sunlight at the same time. It's one day a year. Australia, New Zealand, and some of the Pacific Islands kind of get hosed on that, and they'll be in the dark. But everyone else at 7:15 Greenwich Mean Time, so over there in Europe, America will get their morning light like at 4 whatever a.m. Maybe it's 7 p.m. I don't know. I just read this fact. Maybe it's not even true. Maybe I don't know what time 7 Greenwich time is here. But anyways, it was on a site that I trust. It was a NASA thing. So anyways, and I know that the longest day of the year is the 21st of June, so it makes sense when you see the light curtain of like the day over the earth and it looks like a waveform, that right now in summer you got these long days, unless you're on the equator, and the southern hemisphere has such fewer people than the northern hemisphere that you can see that like India and North America are the very edge of that dip in the upside down kind of bell curve. And then, it comes up and out like at Japan and, and on the far side, I guess, Alaska or like British Columbia, stuff like that. Kind of cool. Anyhow, sunshine beating on the good times, moonlight raising down from the grave, string band playing worn out honky tonk, pretty young thing gonna dance in the rain, high heel lady spitting at the knickerjacks, businessman with a needle and a spoon, coyote chewing on a cigarette, pack of young boys going howling at the moon, baby. Hey darling, sleeping on the blacktop. Hey darling, running through the trees, honey. Hey darling, leaving for the next town, hoping my hope catches up with me. 3 dead in a crash on the number 4. 2 witnesses are blown up high. Not sure whose will be done. You can call me a sinner for wondering why, baby. Hey darling, sleeping on the blacktop. Hey darling, running through the trees, honey. Hey darling, leaving for the next town, lessing my sense catches up with me. Harmonica solo. Anyways, how are we doing? Did we lose people? Did we gain people? What's going on here, people? We lost people. All right, we lost people. All right, fine, that's fine. 85,000 members and subscribers, and we can't even rally 30. Sad state of things. All right, so what is going on? Let me look at the chat. Have you shown the Oryzia, the rice fish? No, I have not. Maybe if I did what I said I would do, things would work better in the channel. No. So let's take a look here. So there's one big old class, one big school class of rice fish. Now there's actually 3 different genuses. There's the Xenoposilius, and then there's the Oryzius, and then there's another group that is only found on the island of Sulawesi, that is known as the Adrianichthyes. And the Adrianichthyes are a very kind of funky looking rice fish with like a beak. And then the Xenoposilius are also, they're actually just another surface loving fish from Lake or from the island of Sulawesi, which is like an ancient island. And there's really only I think there's 3 species in that grouping, and they don't actually have any morphological or genetic relation to rice fish that's more profound than I don't know, a tetra or something. Like, they're really not related, but they get grouped together because for a long time they were thought to be the surface dwelling little fish that live in the island of Sulawesi. And let's pull up right on here. And hello, Ace Girl 88. Hello. Let's see here. Roy Baker's got a planted. He's got some. He's got a female full of eggs. Right on. Good Gamer Aquatics. I was talking about breeding autos. Imagine breeding cullies is harder due to them being good micro predators. Yeah, they really to breed cullies, you really need good biofilm, a lot of flow, and they will have a big old belly. The most cullies I've ever had survive is like 6 to adulthood. I've had them have quite a few babies, and they are tiny little worms. I mean, they almost look like tapeworms or something. They're like, or pinworms or hookworms. They're wild in how small they are when they're born. But you'll see the female's belly fills with kind of like a green glow, and it gets very, very swollen before she has the babies. Do you believe evolution is allowing birds to carry fish eggs better? That's an interesting question, Ace. I believe that happens. I don't know if evolution... I mean, evolution doesn't work towards any one goal. If it works, then it keeps happening, right? So if eggs happen to survive and stick to a bird, and that bird goes to a mountain lake and then sits in the water, and the eggs come off and they hatch into fish, and only that fish is in that lake and up in the mountains, there's a good chance only that fish will make it to other lakes if another bird comes and lands there, if that lake is survivable for those fish. So they found that, like, in the alpine lakes regions of Wyoming, I think they're called Wyndham trouts. They're actually a very specific subspecies of like rainbow trout, and they can live in a lake there, including Lake Yellowstone. They can live up in these high alpine lakes as long as they're deep enough that they don't freeze. And there's, I think that requires 60 feet. Even in the coldest places in America, they're not cold all year round. So 60 feet ensures that there are like thermal pockets and enough water, and just the pressure and all that makes it so that there's like what they call thermal clines, or gradients in those lakes, so that there are going to be fish down there. Now, is there oxygen down there? That's another thing that fish have to evolve to deal with, and they do. But the wild thing is that they have survived in those lakes off of eating diatom, or even simple like green water algae. Sorry guys, it's like 84 degrees in my house right now. I get my AC tomorrow. I had a little AC unit for the window, but it's just kind of crapped out. But as you know, I don't do super well in the heat. I turn all purple and red and look like a grape. But yeah. But let's get back on track. Let me get back to the thought of yes, Johnny. Actually, let me get to this thought first. So I had mentioned that crushed coral was good for Neocaridina shrimp as a buffer. Now, Caridina shrimp, tiger shrimp, tangerine tiger shrimp, any of the Caridina species, they don't really need a whole lot of buffer. They barely need any at all. And using something like a shrimp salt or salty shrimp, like one of those water conditioners, is probably your better bet. But for Neocaridina, for snails, for maybe crystal shrimp these days, most of them are pretty hardy, and for tangerine tiger Caridinas, you can use crushed coral or cuttlebone or bone or limestone. You can use these things so that you get a couple KH or GH. Now, I had told Johnny privately to use some for shrimp. And yeah, you can use Tums. Tums are highly dissolvable. They're basically a very chalky, meant to dissolve thing. I have thought often about the idea in the past when that's been mentioned. Like, could you, since it's not harmful when it dries, could you put super glue or something, on the Tums, let that dry, and then throw a Tums into your tank and have it slowly release? I don't know the answer. Maybe that's a terrible idea. Maybe that causes the entire world to stop spinning on its axis. But I'm just asking questions here. Just asking questions. I just want to see the list. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, yeah. I don't know if I would use Tums for any Caridina. For Neocaridina, yeah, but you're still going to need a test kit because Tums are actually they have a lot of the carbonate in them. So they're going to actually boost your KH significantly if you put a couple in a tank. And while that's not a big deal if you have very soft water and your shrimp, have a ways they're from stuff, but I would just be careful with Tums. Yeah, there's a lot of better options. That's kind of a quick option as Nirvana Aquatics is saying right here. But I am curious now if I could figure out, since I do have a test kit for this, I am curious if you could take super glue and just put a glob on the center of a Tums and then it would last longer, or if it wouldn't even bun. Yeah, crushed coral. I mean, it's usually $4.99. I think Aquarium Co-op sells it online if there's anything you want to buy from them. But I think it's $4.99 for a pound or two of it, and you can get a 40-pound bag for $20 a lot of times. A lot of sand is even crushed coral. So if you look up beach sand or coral sand, white sand, check. And this goes also for if you don't want the properties of that in your sand. A lot of the white sand that is sold in the hobby is not just quartz sand that's powdery white, it's crushed coral from atolls or from, Florida or the Gulf Coast. So yeah. Cassandra, hello. Jet lagged. I'm sorry. That's a rough one, but I'm glad you're back from your trip and you're safe and sound. Yeah, you can get a 1-pound bag and for $5 at Aquarium Co-op. That'll last forever for shrimp. Yeah, I mean, in a 10-gallon tank, that would last you 40 years. You could put a tablespoon in your 10-gallon tank. For Caridina, you could put a teaspoon probably. But yeah, and then as time goes on, that will sort of melt. And it doesn't all melt away like a Tums would, but crushed coral or limestone or any of that stuff, what it does is the outer layers decarbonate basically, and you're left with a carbon structure that is more of a scaffold, kind of like charcoal, and the trace elements that were in the stone, that any acidity under 7.0 pH has eroded or dissolved into the water, and that will reduce the mass and the density, but it's not going to dwindle away to nothing unless you have a whole lot of churning and moving, but yeah, it will do that. Yeah, lots of sand sold as cichlid sand is just coral. CJ, thank you. That's very true. Yep. Texas Holy Rock, just limestone, will buffer water and provide minerals. Yeah, Texas Holy Stone. So they sell Arizona Wonderstone and Texas Wonderstone. Do be careful with that because that one is quartz based or jasper sometimes. And it's really cool looking. It's like yellow and like banded, and it looks like it's got swirls in it and stuff. It kind of looks like art in a bottle made out of sand. But there's the Texas stone that is called Holy Rock, and then there's Wonderstone from Texas. There's these names that kind of get interchanged, or sometimes people confuse them, or one company uses it for one thing, even though it's technically another thing. Just double check, and the way you can tell the difference is pretty easy. If it has grains you can see or crystals, that's not coral. Now, there's exceptions. There are fossilized crystals that have geodes in the center, but fossilized coral that have geodes in the center made out of like calcite and things like that. But they're quartzite and quartz stone are going to be the ones that you need to like learn to recognize, or granite or basalt or igneous rock. And all of those usually either have crystals or such a smooth grain that they look glassy or waxy, whereas the limestone and stuff like that, chert sometimes, those more active stones that have carbonate in them and calcium in them like that, they should have like no visible grain but white, or they should have chunks, which we call conglomeration. So I don't know, I hope that helps. If you can't see little crystals and shimmering, but if you do have a test, that does help. I think they are like $15 usually. The tests are a little pricey some places. Pathogen. Hello, everyone. Alex, I have a question. Have you kept Discus? Maybe you can give me some advice because 1,000 people have 1,000 opinions. I want to know yours. Yeah, I have kept Discus once for years when I was in my early 20s and late 19 to like, I don't know, 24. I did have Discus with angelfish, and one other time I had like 3 of them. I'm not going to say I'm good at Discus. I don't know a lot about them. I haven't run a hot tank the way they like, 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the last 15 years. So I have read about it. I've seen others do it, but I don't have that firsthand experience. So that let me just say that first. But if you have a question, I know there's people in the live stream that do have experience, so you can ask and see what others say, and maybe I'll know some sort of an answer, but I don't want to give you bad advice. And any advice for test kit alternatives? Oh yeah, okay, interesting. Good Gamer Aquatics. I have an entire video on how to do the tests that you would have to do in a test kit at home without a test kit. So you can make litmus test paper. You can check by looking at the snails or by a snail shell on a ram's horn snail, or by the node spacing on plants if you know your plants well. There's a whole bunch of tricks in the aquarium, and I've done videos on this topic that help you approximate either the hardness, or if you've got enough calcium, enough KHGH, the TDS kind of thing, and approximately the pH. I can tell those things because I know my tanks and I know the species I have. You can get to that point, but it's hard to know that and to calibrate that without having a benchmark that is a good test, obviously. So if you have color blindness, now there are things that exist like phones where you can take the picture, and I believe now there's apps that will tell you what color that is, assuming you put it under white light, or just a consistent light really is all you would need, because you have the vial. Put that over a piece of paper, let light shine through it, in the room, take a picture of the paper or of the vial against the white paper, and then you, without your hand on it, but then there's ways to do it for colorblind people that I can't say how well it will work for you because I'm not colorblind, but I've talked about that. Also, I've talked about fish and their ability to see color and how different fish are. They can see better than us in some species. Other species, they see less than us, but some even see ultraviolet and like outside the human spectrum. It's pretty wild. Now, short of having that, I really do think like API liquid tests are kind of the gold standard for the aquarium hobby. You can get better tests out there that are more accurate if you want to spend like $80 on a testing kit for pH. But all of those work the same way, where they turn a certain color or you're looking at a color of litmus paper. And so really it's down to having a good system, or even just having a buddy that will tell you, you know what, that is that color, that is that color, that is that color, and it falls right around this part of the spectrum on the little sheets. I wish there was a system better for those who are colorblind. Maybe someone has a suggestion in here, but I would say that is probably your best bet, is to find an app or a friend or a group. There are posts on social media quite frequently about, hey, what's the, like, what do you guys think this color is? I can't tell, you know? And no shade will be thrown your way for that. I wouldn't think. If there is, you tell me, I'll come twist their arm and make them say they're sorry. Also, Johnny, thank you so much for gifting another membership. That is very kind of you, my man. And your kindness just has no end, bro. Very, very nice of you. Thank you. Let's see here. Yeah, Nirvana Aquatic. I still can't see the appeal to keeping Discus, if I'm being totally honest. Well, it's hard because you can't keep a lot of other stuff with it. Plants do hate the heat, and heaters go out like, heaters get too hot, heaters don't heat enough. There's like dead spots where it's 99 degrees, and then another spot where it's 78. That happens all the time if you don't have good power head circulation, maybe 2 canister filters, 180 gallons, something like that, you know. I also don't like that stress, that thought of having to deal with that personally. We lose power all the time here, which is a bummer, but it's part of life. And yes, I want to get a generator, but those aren't free. And I got a lot of other bills coming first, as I'm sure folks everywhere do. But, you know, I always hear people say, oh, if you have, you know, a bunch of fish tanks, you should buy a generator. You're irresponsible if you don't have a way to deal with that. Yeah, Ryan Harris brings up a good point, though. Inkbird has a nice controller for if your heater does fail. So that is a really good point. Like, so they make a thermostat so that you can have it cut off at whatever point is too hot. So even if your heater does not recognize, like, oh no, I've gone to 90 degrees, you can put that thermostat in the bottom of your tank where it would normally be the coolest water, and you can set that thermostat to 85. And then if it gets to 85, it will cut the power to the outlet for that, and it will let you know on your phone on most of the Inkbird setups I've seen. That is pretty cool. Also, though, the Wi-Fi linked stuff, Wi-Fi with the lights, setting it all up through an app. I know people who have Wi-Fi linked thermostats so they can monitor their heaters, and heaters all heat in cycles. So the way it graphs is the big sine curve over and over. And that, I just don't, I just hate heaters, because that sine curve, even in the best heaters, is like 3 or 4 degrees, and it just goes, and it's only as good as where the thermostat is and how many thermostats you have and how much flow. It's only as good as the data you have. and your heater is almost always, I've never seen one other than one inline heater that I used to know of. There was an Eheim, and there was maybe a Jaeger or Jogger, I don't know how you pronounce the J. It's Yay, but I don't know officially in that brand like how to say it just right. But anyways, like those two have had inline heaters where they had a way to heat the water coming in from a canister filter, and they would cut off also, like if the thermostat, which was a sensor with a cord that would go in the tank and have a lead to it, if that was off. But usually most people would put that sensor on like the inflow or outflow, or they'd even put it, they didn't want it in the tank because that's why they bought an inline heater. So then your heater is only as accurate as the water passing the heater. And if there's a dead spot under a log in your tank that's way hotter or way colder, then ta-da, it's not going to be great. But yeah, let's see here. There's a guy in my city who breeds Discus in 78 to 80 degrees. Yeah, I mean, you can raise them for sure in that. I wonder if he's spawning them at that temperature. I haven't heard of doing that. I think 85 is like 84 is the lowest I've heard of spawning, but I mean, maybe the domestication of it has come that far that they are spawning in water like that. Maybe you can keep them a little cooler and then like kind of bump it up, and that does it. I don't know. That's cool though. If you know if he was spawning, if he's triggering spawns with that temperature, that would be cool to know if you happen to know, Chuck. All you need to do is put an air stone under the heater and it will spread the heat. Yeah, up, and it will pull in some of the water around it. But I mean, depending on the size of your tank and stuff, it's a little more complicated. Let's see here. Fish Dad just got a batch of Malawi shrimp on eBay that you recommended. Oh, right on. I have found out that every Malawi shrimp in this country essentially is traced back to me, which is kind of cool. So yeah, happy joy. It's 10 years now I've been selling those things, and off and on I've given out at least 70 times. I've sold them to people, and almost everyone I know who has them couldn't stop them from reproducing. There's been like maybe 2 or 3 people who had them like die, and they're like, I don't know what happened. And they're like, I talked to them and they're like, I put it in with my Oscars and they just died. They just started dying. And I'm like, well, what did the bodies look like? And they're like, I don't know. There aren't any bodies. I'm like, well, they got eaten, But other than that, yeah, no. Also, I just want to say, yeah, don't bring up sins of our past. Yeah, heater, devastated. It causes failures. Heaters, yeah. Hey, House of Pisces, good to see you. Fish Daddy says, Bentley Pasco's videos on fluval light setups. He does a really good breakdown and settings on those lights. Yeah, for sure. He and I were actually, when those first came out, we played with those for like a year straight. We were playing with those. He lives by, within 40 minutes from me. But we're in the same club. We've been friends since before YouTube. Yeah, Bentley and I, we both have fun playing with that kind of stuff. I had fun. I used to think that it mattered to maybe having a thunderstorm effect will help because, they spawn during the wet season. But then I realized actually, no, doing the water change the day that the low pressure change happens and it starts raining in a warm afternoon in the spring or summer for Seattle, that's the trick that's going to get, the fish will spawn almost always when that happens. It's because it's the same signal as in the wet season. It shows boom, the thunderstorms are coming or rain is coming. If you can get at least a 5 to 10 millibar change in a few days, and the humidity change also, it really can be pretty impressive. Is it okay for Malawi shrimp to have high TDS? Yes. A lot of tannins, a lot of botanicals. Yeah, a lot of tannins, a lot of botanicals. Just be careful on the pH. They are gonna be between 6.4, 6.2, and like the 8. I don't know, 8 probably. Some people have kept them all the way into the 9 region, and even in like brackish water. So there are some like very, very specific genetic pockets of those that somebody must have bought and kept in Florida or something and had them in a bunch of tanks and been like, oh, these ones live in liquid rock and I'm gonna just sell from this tank or whatever. But it's pretty cool. Aquatic News Network, follow your barometer. Yes, indeed. Later, everyone. Have a good night. Yeah, have a good night, Mike. Peace. 8.2, trying to bring it down with distilled water changes. I have really hard water. Yeah, that's, you'll get more of the like white striping and like kind of spotting and stuff on the shrimp when it's hard water. You'll see more of the colors and the mood of the shrimp because they can turn all the way to like a blue, like this blue right here. They can get that blue, the lines I have, and they can also get almost this red, and in between too. All the colors in between, but they don't ever stay that way. You can get the blue ones to stay like they tint blue almost every day, but you put them in hard water, and all of a sudden they go to clear and kind of earth tones with white or like kind of a silvery spangle white foggy effect over it. Pathogen, why does temperature have negative effect on aquarium plants? What can I plant in an aquarium above 29 Celsius? The reason plants 29 Celsius is like kind of the edge. That's 85-ish, 84 or 5 degrees. And that's right on the edge of like where plants start not liking. But Anubias, Java fern, Bulbitis, anything with what we call a waxy cuticle, which means when you feel the leaf, does it feel kind of plastic or kind of like you could dig your thumbnail into it and it would make kind of like a crunch? If it has that vibe going, then your plant there's a good chance it can take higher heat, or it can honestly just take the ability to be out of the water and maintain its moisture. And that's true with Anubias plants. That's true with Echinodorus, some of the sword plants. That's true with a lot of the lilies and lotuses. Valsinaria is another one. And then the hydrocotyls, they do either terribly if they're the little tiny ones like Japonica, I think. Wait, let me get this right. Tripartita and verticillata. Those two don't do well in high heat, but the other ones, Japonica, is it Americana? Japonica, Americana, it's Amera something. Anyways, the other pennyworts, moneyworts, they do pretty good too. Creeping Jenny, Creeping Charlie, those do pretty good. Yeah, Amazon sword, yeah. But yeah, anything with a quote unquote waxy cuticle. Okay, here we go. So Nirvana Aquatic says it has to do with dissolved CO2 availability. Warm water doesn't hold dissolved CO2 very well, so a lot of plants starve. Also, hot water can't hold as much oxygen either, and like cooler water holds oxygen better. And plants, people forget that, plants make oxygen. We all know that, right? But they also use it for, transpiration, respiration, and perspiration that they got going on. At night, they need oxygen and they put out wait, let me get this right. In the day, they put out oxygen and they use the CO2. They break off the oxygen. At night, they actually use O2 out of the environment too. So it's probably not helpful when there's less of that also, would be my guess. Let's all hit the like button. Hey, there's a good one. Any experience with L181 bristlenose? Yep. They are great. Ryan, you have a good one, buddy. Good to see you, and thank you so much. Also, when I tried to thank you on PayPal, I think it was either that or the GoFundMe. You know, I tried to send a thank you because thank you very kindly, but it wouldn't let the message go through. So I don't know what happened there, but I tried and it just said like he does not accept messages or user does not accept messages at this time. So yeah, but anyways, I hope you got the email that I sent because I was like, I don't know if it's even going to alert him to that. Let's all hit the like button and show our love. Thanks. Yeah, I would appreciate that. So the L181 bristlenose pleco, it is the L183. You know, it might as well be the peppermint one, might as well be the snowball one, it might as well be the orange seam or the blue seam or the starry night, or the moonlight pleco, or the Cheese Creek ancestris. Some of the other bristlenoses I will say are a little bit easier, but most of the bristlenose species are kind of in that same realm. And like the peppermint ones are real similar. The snowball and peppermint. And there's like a few of each of those, I understand. Alex, newbie question, is there a certain time at night when light goes off, or is it when plants release CO2? So it's when plants close, usually. It tends to be 45 minutes to an hour and a half after light is low or at the lowest. If you leave your lights on for days, your plants will still close at a certain point. But if you keep doing that long enough, then they start having metabolic issues and they can get leggy, have health issues. They can get all mixed up and start doing it unexpectedly. Or they can sometimes go for days in night mode and days in awake mode, depending on the plant, but especially with aquatic plants. But for the most part, if you have a schedule that you kind of stick to, and at night it's nighttime darkness of some sort, as long as you have at least 6 hours of that, they will get accustomed to anything that or more. And you can split it. So you can do 6 hours of dark, 6 of light, 6 hours of dark, 6 of light. And they can get used to that too. They will put their rhythm in half, and it does not speed up the life of the plant or the growth of the plant. It just takes what it can get when it can get it. But you'll see plants like Kabamba, plants like Rotala, Ludwigia, Mayaka, needle leaf plants. A lot of them close up at night. You'll see the leaves actually go doop. Even sword plants and things, a lot of them when they're young or when the sword is not so heavy that the leaves are bunny-eared out, they'll still kind of close and tuck towards each other in the center. Very common. And plants do sleep as well. Yes, indeed. They have a circadian rhythm. Yellow marker, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. I can't even do it once, man. Joey says, I have guppy grass, is growing like a weed. I also have a plant that looks like grass and is doing great. Right on. Well, good to hear. So let's pull up what I didn't put up forever ago. And just for fun, And maybe I'll make a standalone video of this and just pull my own hair out, like right before I do it, because that's about how much fun this would be to edit. Did I really just, dang it, I just closed that. Let's see here. It's not a tumor. Okay, so share. And there was this boy who got into an accident and had a very well. Anyways, guys, if you know, you know. If you don't know, now you know. So rice fish. This is the one that I want. I thought I bought it, but I didn't get it. I thought I paid for it, but I got some other it. Yeah, I thought I was getting the Mekongensis, and instead I got the little minutulus. Let me find the minutulus. Minutulus. Is it even on here? Because it turns out, wait, there it is. And really, when I click on it, there's nothing on the page. That's odd. Let's see what happens when I click. No, that doesn't help me at all. All right, weird. So I guess, I mean, red means there's not an article, I guess, but let's take a look here, see if I can highlight it and copy, making copy, and then I can go into Google, paste, and see what I find. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the fishies I have. So if I were a rich man, I would work very, very man. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Let me add a different thing to this. Would you sheep and geese and where did that go? Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. So here is the fish I got instead. Oh, look at that. It's even making fun of me with, that's actually not the fish that I was thinking it was. But it's got the little orange flares on its tail too. Remember the Mekongensis that I was just showing you guys? Well, here's another one. That's the Songkramensis. Songkramensis. Whew, that's hard for me to say. Songkramenis. Okay. Anyways, this is what the little guys look like. They got a little silver air bladder, a little cobalt blue air bladder, kind of cool. And these guys, if I have them. Oh, and look at this. The description of Songramina, the distribution map, depicts it to occur only in the middle lower of the island. Wait, what is going on here? Consider the latter to be a coast-specific. Happens in the Mekong, but it's not the Mekongensis. I am so confused here. Why is it referring to it as this also then? We might have a double species here where they gave it a name and someone named it in a Chinese paper or something, and someone named it in a European paper or something. But it was originally in 1945 named. When was this one named? 2010. So yeah, this might be like they split it out because mine don't have the orange things, and that's definitely a way different fish. You know, gotta love it when the amount of information that you have on it is like a sentence, you know. And this is seriously fish, which is usually pretty good. But what I was looking for was actually, let's pull up this IUCN red list. And this is something that was shocking to me when that started this whole freaking talk. Red list for fish, freshwater fish. That is not correct. There are not 150,000 species of freshwater fish. There are more like 32,000, maybe 38 with undescribed as well. 25% of freshwater fish are at risk of extinction, with another 17% at risk of becoming endangered. That's no good. That's gone up. But where is the list? Here we go. Let's see if this provides us what we need. And of course, it isn't showing you guys this. So let's go. Let me pull this out and see if we can copy. We can copy and then get rid of that. Go like this. Go like that. See if that worked. Did that pop that up on that bad boy up on the screen? All right. So this site, although it's flawed, they actually added fungus for once on the list, which I think is pretty darn fun. A little dubious of how you catalog that one, but you know, so then they've got sharks and rays, amphibians, mammals, conifers, which is weird. I mean, I don't understand why they have put things like in these groups, but is it sharks and rays that I have to go to, even though those are 400 million years apart from fish? Let's see here. I think it's because I'm not logged in. It was easier on mobile, actually, for once. So we can search common name or Latin name, but let's just look up rice fish in general, right? So Oryzaius, as they're known. And ding, 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 ding. We don't know. The normal rice fish is not threatened. The Oryzaius wawauriae, endangered. The let's see here, not threatened, stable, not threatened, but decreasing, unknown, not threatened, decreasing. Let's see if do we have any more endangered species. Endangered. So this is one from, and the Philippine Medaka, also endangered. Also the Asian is endangered but stable. That's kind of an interesting designation. This one is critically endangered. The Timorensis, I'm sure that's on the island of Timor. And then, okay, so basically these 5 at the bottom here, and then this Oryzaius sauritoi, I butchered that, is also critically endangered. And you can click on these, which is cool. It shouldn't give you the range. I feel like this is silly. Like, don't tell us right where on the freaking island, the one island it occurs on. Oh, guys, look, it occurs right here in this one swamp. Don't go there and collect them. That would be a shame. But anyways, so then we can take this name and we can go Google. What does this beautiful fish look like? We can go, show us the fish, Google, and it'll say, okay. And then it shows us this beautifully critically endangered fish, rice fish. Look at that crazy fin. Look at that crazy fin. It's got that weird, crazy fin. And then what looks like it should be the adipose fin, but it's underneath it. So I guess they're paired fin. Yeah, they're paired fins. Wow, that is either we're not seeing this fish the same way as they are, or that is one bad freaking sketch. Look at that. Okay, that is kind of a duck-billed mouth, but this really, that's that. What are we missing here? I'm seeing more of this. Maybe that's just like they're spawning. Oh, there's one right there. Perhaps. Okay, so this is interesting. This is not the same genus as the Oryzias. So this is the Adrianictes one, and these are the duck-billed buntingi, and the buntingi are utini. Buntingi are just basically small top minnows that are related to rice fish, but are specific to Sulawesi, I believe. They may also be on Timor or Java, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, the Beloniforms are the overall family. And, okay, yeah. Interesting. So, let me hop back here. I mean, apparently, guys, we didn't really get to a whole lot of rice fish today. That was a side tangent that I failed at. But, anyways, I wanted to go there because, that's kind of what sparked some of my thought of, well, maybe we'll cover that today, Ollie, good to see you. Just found out that there are carnivorous aquatic plants. Yes, bladderwort. Bladderworts are very carnivorous plants. They have to eat flesh. There are larger ones too, but the bladderworts are the notorious. Jacob Gale, I emailed you a few times about isopods. I want to sell some. If you want to sell some, please email me. Currently building a scud army and want a culture of isopods as well. Missing a puzzle piece. Jacob, yes. I mentioned this a few times in a few live streams now. I broke both ankles, which happened a little bit ago, but I had to get them put into casts, and so I haven't been able to drive. I'm not able to walk more than like a bad Iron Man skit, where I kind of toddle like a penguin on one boot to the other foot in an orthotic. But yeah, I have the isopods. When I can get a ride from my house out to them, then I can deal with it. And I know I said, hey guys, if you're interested, message me. But I didn't know I was getting put into casts and that I wouldn't be able to drive or walk or even go to the bathroom without help. It's basically almost that bad. I have to. It's not great. I'm basically stuck in a hospital bed type setup in the living room. It's not a real hospital bed. It's a crappy couch, but yeah. So I do apologize, but also if you sent money, you want a refund because it hasn't come yet, and I mentioned that stuff 2 weeks ago. That's fine. I can send you a refund. Just let me know if you did that. But I told people not to send me money right away. I said it'll probably be around $30, but let me check on the price. Because the other thing was, the first week I waited to try to get more breather bags because enough people wanted them that I needed more than the 5 breather bags I had in my closet. And now I am having a hard time even walking. So I'm hopefully getting some help from my neighbor and friends and parents a little bit along the way, but my wife is also out of town. So I'm really like SOL when it comes to getting around at the moment. Like I am basically glued to this chair until I hop over onto a wheelchair, and then I have to like move everything out of the way and wheel around on that at the moment. So anyways, I didn't want to get into the health thing, but I know it kind of gets confusing. How do you tell a male from a female on rice fish? Well, usually the females have a big clutch of eggs hanging under them. Usually also the males will have more color, more adornment. They usually have bigger anal fins and dorsal fins. And sometimes it's the difference between them having color in their caudal, peduncle, and caudal fin. That's the main thing, other than a big swollen belly. And then obviously if they're holding eggs in every few mornings, that's another great way to do it. But yeah, you look good. Well, Head and Shoulders, yeah, Head and Shoulders are doing good. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Anyways, Fish Dad, one more random thought. Fellow hardcore fish head here. Love your fish mentions and references. Oh, right on. Glad to hear it. My wife has seen them, I don't know, 400 times. She saw the Grateful Dead like 300 and some times before Jerry died. And then her life fell apart at 18 or whatever. And she was like, what am I going to do? Fish? And then she discovered them, and that became her life. Did Miss Fishery misery my feet? That's what I should tell people happened, because like everyone's like, how'd you break 2 ankles? And I'm like, I'm that fat. No, I busted the one, it's called your talus bone. It's like the big triangular bone that all your weight in your foot, that your what is it, your tibia, your bone in your freaking leg, all the weight comes down and meets kind of that, and then you got a joint with some other feet or some other bones around it kind of. But I broke in my right foot 3 bones, and I broke just the talus in my left foot. So what happened was I broke the first one because of the edema, the swelling, all of that stuff, and it literally had moved my leg and foot in a bad position. And to avoid stepping on my heel, which had this infection injury thing that lingered and lingered because it was a puncture wound that went to the bone. That was a year ago now, by the way, if you're counting. And I've had surgery that was to the bone, healed beautifully. A 22-inch scar incision that they're like, that's going to be a gnarly Frankenstein type scar. We're sorry. We had to do it. It's healed and it's like barely visible. I'll show you guys sometime when it's easier. Oh, heck, I can just do this. So my leg here, you can see it's like not a bad scar at all. My tattoos are okay on that leg, but yet the bottom of my foot won't freaking heal whatsoever. So I don't know. We're trying to figure it out, but part of it is the fact that I have such thick callus on my ankle, and the other part is my autoimmune lupus disease, which is a connective tissue disease, which means that the transition from callus, thick tissue that's kind of not really alive, it's kind of like your hair or your fingernails, to the living tissue, that region is having a really hard time sealing up. Lupus Bretts, aquatic moose. I don't know why I never thought about that, but I like that. That's funny. You can call me Lupus Bratz. Yeah, sure. You can call me whatever you want. You can call me Mud. My name is Mud. Hey, Gary. Yeah, so that's like what's going on here too. Like, so part of lupus or a lot of autoimmune stuff for people is what they call plaque psoriasis. And like that is basically a big layer where it calluses or scabs for no reason other than friction. And the friction of my elbows moving, even though I wash them, and my knuckles, I wash like my knuckles multiple times a day, but I still get that over and over because of that when I'm not on my full dosage of the anti-immune system stuff, because I can't be on the stuff that keeps all that activity down when I have an infection, because I would die of the infection. Anyways, yeah. So, guys, we have any last questions or thoughts? I think I'll probably live stream tomorrow night as well, maybe a later night stream. But I guess this wasn't the rice fish stream. I guess this was the let's just blah 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 stream and answer questions, and I hope that worked for y'all. I have a number of like video ideas that are all kind of jumped around in my head, and I've even filmed like B-roll and even voiceovers for a bunch of things, and then I'm like, no, I don't want to put that out yet. So the new video's up right now that's a half hour long about kind of our role in the hobby as janitors of the genetic gene pool of the generations down the road. Alex just got here. Is this off topic, but do you think the devil's hole pupfish is going to eventually make it to the hobby? And dwarf sunfish of Florida, how's that looking in the hobby? The dwarf sunfish they're great. They're doing good. They're in the hobby all over. They're in Europe and everything. I got the ones that are breeding. I think I still have at least 28 of them that I counted the other day when I did a count. That's not the 34 that I had, but there were some that were really tiny little runts, and I don't know if I just couldn't find them. I moved the tank away from the kitchen because my wife started to threaten bodily harm if I didn't move the fish tank out of the kitchen finally, which is fair. I got the pictures and the video of the babies that I wanted and of the mating dances and all that stuff. So, I said, okay, fine, I'll move it. But I'm still feeding them the live food daily from ponds, and I think the devil's hole pupfish. So there is a fish that is called the Nevadensis, and there's an Ash Meadows collection point, and there's another one that are in the hobby. Now, are they in the hobby easily? No, but there are people in Europe, at least, that have them. I don't think the devil's hole pupfish specifically, that actual population of 250 to 300 fish at max, and usually it's more like 150. And right now it's 34, I believe, 35 or 34, because of an earthquake that made the water silty, that made the algae not grow in the one shelf that they eat off of in this little hole. I mean, really, they are not designed to survive, unfortunately. I mean, they are very designed to survive. That's what makes them amazing. But I should say they were not placed. Their luck in the universe, man, bad. They got a bad draw. Cassandra says, my husband said I can't get another fish tank if he has to carry buckets. That was his breaking point. I hurt my back last year. I got a hose for it. Yeah, just get a pump and a hose, or a python, either way. Then got that. Is the cat in a huff? Yes, the cat is in a huff. The cat is supposed to be eating, but like I said, it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit in the house, which is 29, 30 degrees Celsius. And it's also humid in the house. The humidity is 70% because my AC window unit's not even working right now. But we get a new unit tomorrow, hopefully, because I'm like, I'm getting really hot. But yeah, someone needs to toss some fish flakes in the devils. But yeah, no, don't be tossing no fish flakes in that devil's hole. That devil's hole, just leave them devil holes alone. That's what I learned. If I learned anything in my years on this planet, it's you leave the devil's hole alone. No, there are. There's the guy named Valerio Urbani. That's a. He is a. Oh, now I'm spacing on the name of the types of killifish he is. Aphosimian. He's an Aphosimian, like a killifish lover. But Aphosimian nevadensis, I believe, is the species of the doubles. Let me check that. That might be the next closest. I don't want to give you guys wrong info. Devil's hole pup fish. No. Okay, Cyprinodon or Cyprinodon diabolus, and it's critically endangered. But so, what's the deal on the nevadensis fish? So, okay, so it's Cyprinodon nevadensis. Oh, you guys, these are so freaking similar. They are. It's called the Amargosa pupfish. And there's also the Tecopa Shoshone pupfish. The if you look up pupfish, I mean, you'll see a few different ones. But there's also several collection points of them. And the devil. Okay, so this makes it even more confusing. So there's species name, like there's the Warm Springs, Cyprinodon nevadensis diabolus pectoralis. Then there's the Cyprinodon nevadensis caliidae. And then there's the Cyprinodon nevadensis navadensis. So they have three names. I think that's kind of like carp, where you got like a domesticated or a species and a subspecies. So I think that's what's going on there. Alex, are you confident enough, Sumi, that she will know her way back home in case she becomes an escape artist? No, but I do walk her around the house, like holding her, and I show her around, so that hopefully she knows. Aphanius, yeah, that's probably, you're right. That's that. I think that is the name that I was thinking of the really similar fish, the way they used to be classified. Anyways, a surfer just got attacked and killed by a 19-foot great white shark in California. Is that for real? Is that for real? Is that a real story? That's a real big fish, not the band. Let's see. Well, I'm seeing stuff about Texas, Tesla. Man, why can't I? Gaza. What? Come on, where is this shark story? My wife is down in Monterey right now. Let's see. Do you know where they caught the shark? Let's see here. Surfer news. Oh, New Smyrna. Yeah, okay, I did hear about this. I didn't hear that it was 19 feet though. But I did hear about. That's not Cali though. That's New Smyrna, unless someone else got bit. But there was just a pretty large shark attack. Oh, you said someone got killed? Yeah, this isn't the same one then, maybe. But yesterday, someone got bit in New Smyrna, and last week, someone got bit in New Smyrna. Wild. Let's see here. Longest great white shark. 20 feet long is the longest confirmed, but longers have been seen, and it's guessed. But yeah, 1988 is what I see here. Caught off Prince Edward Island, really? Largest reliably measured one. Deep blue, caught out in the middle of the ocean. Unconfirmed reports, yes, 23 feet or more. Not analyzed by experts yet. But I kind of I mean, different people are saying different things too. Like, there's a French claim. If you search on French Reddit, you'll see another. We're gonna need a bigger board. Yeah, that's right. That great white will go down in fish street. That's right. 19 feet is still totally absurd. Yeah. Yeah. Anything over 10 feet is a big fish, a big shark. What's wild too is the shark in Jaws was 24 or 25 feet approximately. Although the head and stuff they made, it was scaled to like 32 feet is how big it would have had to be. The biggest head that they used, and they named it Bruce, and it sank once. My wife knows all this trivia about it because she's terrified of sharks, even though she lived in Florida. Like, I go swimming in the ocean in Florida. Can white sharks be eaten? Yeah, you can eat any shark. Pretty much any shark you can eat. And shark versus whale killers, who win? You mean killer whales? Because killer whales will take down sharks. Dolphins can take down sharks pretty easily, especially if there are several of them. Oryzias bermanicus. Are these fish endangered? Let's find out. Let's look it up. I've got my red list right here of my Oryzias. Oryzias. Mamma mia. Here I go again. My. All right, let's see here. Brrr. Have they even been? So, one of the big problems that we run into with a lot of these critters is that they have not even been assessed. And that is really frustrating. Sometimes, for people who want to, do the work. I'm not seeing that one. Does it have another name? Oh wait, here we go. Let me. Now I'm on the IUCN site, but it may be one that just doesn't have enough information. I don't see it, but there is the I don't see that one. Let me. Bermanicus. Let's see here. Man, that's gonna bug me. Bermanicus. So they doesn't look they have Do they? They've got Dario Bermanicus as a fish listed, but it is not known. There's not enough known about it, but let's look elsewhere real quick. So, Oryzius. Okay, let's see here. The wet spot is selling those, I see. Burmese yellowfin ricefish. So these are endangered, I believe, but they're going by a different name. That's interesting. They're only $4.99. These must be tank bred, because if I can find these are. Yeah, let's look for this. So I'll pull it up on the screen once I can confirm what I'm seeing here. Because I don't want to throw wet spot under the bus or anything if they're not doing anything untoward. But let's see here. Man. Gosh. Okay, so that one is actually not called that anymore, because it's not. I don't know why it's not called that anymore, but that one is now the that's really weird that they have the wrong Latin name on it at wet spot. They're usually really good about it. And I swear I've seen in the past them have the other one, but let me pull it. I'll post it for you again. Let's pull it up full screen. Okay, so the wet spot, yeah, you can see they have it, but then it's gonna go by the yellowfin, the Burmese yellowfin. They're popular in the aquarium trade. They're known for their peaceful nature. So this is the AI rundown, but the thing that's weird is that they're showing up here for the wet spot, but they're not in any of the listings on Wikipedia or on the IUCN, but they do pull up as the this one, sorry auto, but I thought that was from. Hold on, let's see if we can take this and search this fish, because this is what it said just now to look up instead. This other name, and we can find that, and now fish base. So that says it's from Sulawesi though, so that's not the same thing. That's definitely not the same thing. So then we've got the yellowfin ricefish. So watch when I go back to IUCN red list group. The kind of wild thing, I'll pop it open and then you can. Why does it do this? This drives me nuts. Sorry guys, I have to go like this, then go like this, then go like that. Hopefully that leaves it open for us. Okay, so we can go to rice fish again, and we'll just go more species of the 32 rice fish that it has. We do know that there are over 35 or 34 or 44. Sorry. Now, if it's this one, I'm wondering, because the Wowore I thought this one was named after. No, that's also gonna be Sulawesi, I think. Let's see. Wow, makes no, it's not. It is the what island is that? Oh, it is. It is the island right attached, or no, right off of Sulawesi. It's Muna Island. I don't even know this island. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know a lot of things in life, but Sulawesi adjacent. But what I was gonna look up was there was already a yellow fin, which is what they were calling it on. Stop. The yellow fin I saw right here, yellowfin ricefish, profundicola, and this one here is listed as near threatened. And this one is shown. Where's this one shown? Oh, look at that. Indonesia, dead smack in the middle of Sulawesi. This is quite the puzzle. So what fish do we have? What fish do we have indeed? Now I'm curious, could it be this song one? Because I'm just trying to see what other. I don't see any Burmese, rice fish or anything like that. Bonorium, where's this one from? Probably from Sulawesi. Wow, only 50 left, 50 to 250 left. And yeah, that's going to be another super endangered one. But this one might be. Yeah, here we go. This is probably it. I bet this is it. I bet they have a different Latin name. I bet the Latin name is changed, and perhaps it is going to be stop. Sorry guys, my mouse ran away with my spoon. Ran away with my life. Yeah, so we were just looking at Myanmar. It lives all over, data deficient. Who knows how it's doing, basically. But we can say that, I could see here this name. I could tell by that it's named after the Y people, and the Y people are in Myanmar. So that was my only guess of why that fish. But let's see if we can find a picture of it, because now I'm curious if this is the same. Yeah, that's got to be it. So, and we got a visitor. Wait, what is that? Oh, life is so hard. Life is so hard for Kitty. Life is so hard for Kitty. It's 85 degrees and Kitty's hot. Kitty's hot. So yeah, I think it is that I think it's this one. And if I show you a picture, let me show you a picture of the lovely fish. La 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 la. I could see where this would get called the yellowfin fish. Yellowfin rice fish. There's a picture of one. There's another one being called Laloxus. That's not a locked-in name yet, though. That's the Loxolepis. It's a proposed name, but again, I could see where maybe those pictures up there at the top with the yellow, that one there, and that one. The Javan one is interesting. I know. Ooh, well, look at that one. That one has got a lot of babies under its pouch. A lot of babies under its pouch. We got it's the Sulawesi one, the Marmoratus. Marmoratus. That's not the prettiest name I'd ever heard. Anyways, that's an interesting mystery. I want to know. I want to talk to the wet spot about that because they do carry a lot of interesting stuff. They do carry stuff that they tank breed, and rice fish are notoriously easy to breed. But great question there. I am curious, like what happened there with their name and why they have a different name and what's going on with my life. All of that is very confusing. Yes, she is a very cool kitty cat. We love this kitty cat very much. She's a very cool kitty. I'm a cool kitty. And yeah. You don't like that. You don't like that when I make you a puppet. When I make you my puppet and I say, scratchy, scratchy, scratchy under the neck. Oh, scratchy, scratchy, scratchy under the neck. Yes, somebody asked for the special guest appearance. Are Malawa shrimp safe with dewormers? Nah, well, yeah. Yes, most dewormers won't kill shrimp in their low dose that's recommended for fish, but in some doses they do kill shrimp. They're not any more sensitive than Neocaridina. They're hardier than that. So that's what I'm going to say. Planaria, though, yeah, is a hard one to kill. In fenbendazole, I mean, I've used all those things with them, but if you're worried about it, just take the Malawa out. Like literally, put the Malawa shrimp in a paper cup, in a red Solo party cup. Just put them in there for like 2 nights or 3 nights. They'll be fine. You don't even need an air stone. I've kept those shrimp in like a boot, and I bet they'll be fine. And that way you don't have to stress it. That's what I would do. Morwina just went to the pond behind my house to take some samples and to inoculate my tanks. And yes, there's cool life midge larva, seed shrimp. Cool. Right on. And so many microplastics. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, sorry that we can't like for sure lock in what species Wet Spot is talking about. They don't have a picture up on their website of which one they're selling it as right now, but it looks as though it's the one that was not thought to be endangered from Myanmar. Now, that being said, it's still listed as vulnerable, which means it's the next step from endangered. It's like threatened, one step away from that. If you have time, space, and the will, if you are a wild species from species location are correct ones, I'd say yes, breed and keep them away from other species so others can't mix. Yeah, agreed, Mick. Agreed. If you wanted to breed them's, breed them's, that's pretty cool though. To have those fish. Notice that they have been declining. Should I breed them in 2018? Wait, I have saw many of them in my in 2018, but I have. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I bet we're looking at the right one. It was named in 2018. That's probably when it hit the market. There's a good chance that Tin Win out of Thailand, that family may have something to do with who is exporting or rather catching and bringing out of the like Shan province and Hua province and stuff like that. It looked like they're found other places though, but I know Shan and Hua are a little hard to know fully what's going on in sometimes. I'd love to go though. I'd absolutely love to go. It's one of my like top places I want to go on in the world. 2 tanks. First one is 1,000 liters. The other is 400 liters. I have connected both together due to plant tank. Due to the plant tank always lacking nitrogen. Oh, nice. KZ Tropicals. That is great. I mean, nitrogen. Too much of it in one tank, in the sense that you can always do a water change or whatever, and being able to get rid of it and use it on your plants sounds like a win-win. Sounds like a win-win, doesn't it? Sound like a win-win to me, Some. You gonna bite me? Yes, you gonna bite me. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. We're coming up on almost 2 hours. Say what? 2 hours, Sumi. That's a long time. Daddy should feed you, but your food's on top of the fridge, and Daddy can't get up there. Daddy's stuck in chairs right now. So what's gonna happen to baby's food? Good thing you got a bag of it in a garage, or in the, you got a bag of it in the closet, baby. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful night. I hope you're doing well. Yes. Your guess is many more species will be very rare in about 5 to 15 years. Humans expanding their lifestyle and demands are no joke. Mick, I agree, and also, you know, a third of all freshwater fish already, 36 to 38%, depending on the study you see, are already in. Hello, hi, yes, you want dinner? I know. Are already endangered, in risk of being endangered or going extinct. So that's probably threatened class or higher, which is really depressing. But yeah, glad I'm getting that AC tomorrow too. I know, because I'm stuck in this freaking chairs and just not being able to move much. I can kind of like take a step or two, but that's about it. And it's very hard with the boot, with Das Boot on. If there are parasites in one system, they will infect the second aquarium. Not a very good idea. Well, linking 2 tanks, they just become one big tank. But yes, if there are parasites or pathogens, they will be in both places now. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully everything's healthy for you. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here before my cat loses her mind and eats me and my eyeballs. You guys have a wonderful night. I want to thank Johnny for the very generous gifts that keep on giving, the membership gifts this evening, and all of y'all for coming in here, hitting that like button. Sharing is caring, hanging out, asking questions, answering each other's questions. Love it so much. And always appreciate y'all. I will be back hopefully tomorrow night. We'll see. I don't know. My wife's gone, so you guys are my social life, and I like y'all. So yeah. Morwina came in late, gave you a like. Well, thank you. If I earned it, I will take that. Even if I didn't earn it, give it. So yeah, we're gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna try to cool down somehow. Maybe I'll take one of these cans and fill it up with ice cool water. Yes. All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. And if you haven't seen the video yet, go check out my new video on conservation in the hobby. And if you know of a cool conservation project or a species that needs more love and conservation that you want to organize, or that you want to talk about other people organizing, definitely chat amongst yourselves in the comments. That was the hope of the video, truly. And honestly, but thank you so much, you guys. Much love. And again, thank you so much to anybody who has donated to the GoFundMe. I was feeling very odd about it. Now I still feel odd. I'm an odd duck. But now, as I got the bill for my boot, and then they tried to bill me for a wheelchair, which I bought out of my pocket, and they tried to bill me over $1,000 for the thing, even though I got it for $80. and they're $120 new, the same chair model and everything. Yeah, so I've been like at war with my insurance, but in any case, I was gonna say I was getting this, like, the walls are closing in and I haven't made enough content and I've been so busy with this stuff and feeling crappy, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, things are easing a little bit. So thank you so much. That really does make a big difference, and I really do care about you guys, and I hope everybody's doing well and hanging in there right now. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Much love, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow night or the next at the latest. We're gonna do three streams this week. All right, bye bye. Sumi, you want food, baby girl? You want some dinner?